Hi guys, welcome back to Ascending with Tip Talks 22. I am so excited today about this episode one because I feel like I'm pretty deep into this stage personally, but if not past it. But two, because I put a lot of effort in today to get this point across. So listen, y'all gonna hear these pages turning and y'all gonna take it. Damn it. Okay? But no, let's start where we previously left off, or from where we previously were. We had begun to kind of see the world in this awakening stage. We began to see the world from a completely different perspective. So we're going to move into the next phase, which is a stage of reflection and just kind of introspection, developing and applying a huge understanding, okay, of what is going on with you and where you're at and how to view this life we're living, etc. So this is the stage where you start to release certain beliefs that we're beginning to realize limited our growth throughout our lives, right? Like we began to develop a desire to reprogram our soundtrack. I say that all the time on my page. If you've followed me for a while, if you've scrolled back, I used to say it quite a bit, and I think that was probably when I was starting this area, this section, this stage. But by reprogramming your soundtrack, I mean to just kind of erase and re-record the conditioning that we've been programmed or led to believe all of our lives, to erase and re-record how we think of ourselves, how we view ourselves, what we view as valuable in us. This is where self-love comes in, affirmations, those things, right? So it's about changing the thoughts that you have learned and adopted subconsciously over the years. So it's going to involve maybe limiting beliefs like it's not okay to stand out, or you got to have a 9 to 5 to be successful, which ain't the truth. Or people would never pay me for this talent I have. Whatever your talent is, these are just limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves. Because if you're telling yourself people will never pay you for it, then guess what? That belief is going to keep you confined and keep you from even trying. Okay? So this is the stage where we're reprogramming our thoughts. Everything that, all the stuff that our culture, society, our parents, our sleeping parents, a sleeping culture, and even your school has programmed you to believe. Because of course at school they're just now kind of changing it. At school they program you to be ready to go to college, getting ready for college. It's going to be like this in college. Everybody don't want to go to college. That type of school or traditional way of learning is not going to be for everybody. So once you reach 12th grade, it's like, listen, I'm done. But schools, of course, they promote higher learning. They promote extended education. But the real deal is we are so equipped with divine gifts. And by divine gifts, I mean the things that God gave you from birth, the things that you were born knowing how to do, the skills and talents and the creativity that God gifted you with from birth. But we tend to say, okay, well, no, I need to be doing this job, and we'll focus on that, and then our passion or whatever made us happy or what we were passionate about dies. Anyway, I'll digress just a little bit. That'll be a whole nother podcast. But anyway, so yeah, this stage is tough because it's truly like a grieving stage that comes with it, a phase of grief that comes with it. But after the grief, you will feel some relief. So it does eventually balance out. But the relief comes because it's like you are finally getting to realize a real and true freedom. You're not trapped or controlled by the things that have controlled your life in the past. Okay? But the grief, y'all, it's heavy because this was like a lifetime of conditioning. Let me give you an example. Leaving my job. When I decided to quit my job or walk away from my job, the environment was toxic on my spirit. And I was just growing increasingly uncomfortable. But it's something that I had been thinking about doing for like at least 2 months. And I hadn't shared that with anybody. But I had been thinking I could probably use my creativity to fund my life. Or at the time, I was doing Uber Eats part-time. And I love being outside. I love meeting new people. And I was making decent money doing it. So I was like, I could easily still fund my lifestyle doing this particular job. So either way, it means I get to be free because I don't have to be stuck in this school building all day, every day, wondering when is lunch or when am I going to get out of here for the day. So there was like a freedom that came with walking away from it, but because it was also my identity for as long as I had known it to be, there was a sadness that came with it. So much so, where I remember going home, I think I was happy that day. But like the next day, waking up and realizing, OMG, I don't have to go to work today. I don't have to go clock in today. What the hell have I done? Like, and I'm going to miss my kids so much. And like, oh my God, I hope they don't feel like I abandoned them. Because we were a Title I school. For those of you who don't know, it's definitely an area where much of the students come from kind of financially challenged homes, okay? And so, of course, with financial challenges come emotional challenges. So they just deal with a lot more than certain students do. And so I didn't want them to feel like, here we go again. Yet another teacher walked away from us, So that was heavy on my heart. But I wanted to be friggin' free. So at that point for me, my desire to be free definitely outweighed the sadness. But it was still like a grieving process. I think I took at least a good week to grieve. At least. Yeah. I know one of those days I literally just kind of stayed in bed all day. That's how sad about it I was. So when I say that it's like a double-edged sword, yeah, it kind of cuts both ways, But anyway, and then so you'll find yourself grieving for that old life. But from here, you're going to be looking around, realizing, dang, most of my friends and most of my family are still asleep. What I like to call it, sleep sheep. Like, it's to go along and get along. I don't know if you guys have seen, there was a meme at one point on Facebook where it was a group of sheep, a flock, a herd, I don't know what they called, but they were all just crowding into one space to go out this one door. Not realizing, if I'm remembering it correctly, not realizing that there wasn't even a fence there. They were just following the next one. So they could have broken out if they wanted to. But instead of doing that and being individual, they were following the herd. Anyway, it was pretty powerful. So, I'm sorry, I digressed again, explaining to y'all about sheep. But it was relevant, so I wasn't really digressing. But anyway, it says, I wrote, so when you try to share the information that you're stumbling across, the stuff that you're learning, this newfound info with your friends, people may say, oh, she's going crazy, or oh, what's wrong with her, oh, you're so weird, or they may take a defensive stance and say you're judging them or calling you judgmental, and kind of just tune you out as a result of that. But that's extra sad, or it was for me for a little while, because your goal is really just to help them to become, quote unquote, unstuck. But in reality, yeah, you will be judging them a little bit. So you probably need to check that. I definitely had to. But it's not you judging just them, your friends and family. You're going to be judging everybody. You'll be judging society. You'll be judging our world, this culture, everybody. And that's because you're developing a new belief, a new set of beliefs, a new belief system. So you may go kind of quiet in this stage, kind of want to go into hermit mode. Or if you're like me and you're feeling guided, you may feel like, okay, this makes my purpose pretty clear. Because what I thought I was going to do was, okay, I'll drive for Uber Eats, stack this money, and still have the freedom of schedule, etc., etc., etc. But no, honey, God blocked that because I was not surrendering to Him enough. I was still kind of chasing money, which does not match the energy of manifesting. But we'll get into that in another podcast too. But yeah, so God kind of blocked that for me. And when I mean block that, He slowed my revenue down dramatically. One, because He was trying to get me out of a situation that had me slaving to keep up. And then two, it does not match the energy of manifesting. It just doesn't. Again, digressing just a little bit, but we'll get back to that probably on another podcast. So anyway, what I was saying was you may go quiet during this stage because you're super introspective and reflecting on what's going on with you. Or if you're like me and you're feeling guided, you may do something like start a podcast or a blog or something like that. Oh, but the side note is my FB name, my Facebook name, I kind of changed it one day to Being Tiffany. Instead of my first and last name, I changed it to that kind of when this whole awakening process started, because that was my focus. That was my goal. I just wanted to be comfortable being myself. Little did I know that was kind of an intuitive name. But yeah, I didn't realize at the time how appropriate it would be for my future. But anyway, this is the phase where you're not just thinking about it, but you're actually taking action. Okay, so this is where you're leaving your jobs, like me. You're cutting off. I wrote it like this: you're cutting off your sex buddy. That means relationships that are no longer fulfilling to you, that are not meeting your emotional needs. You may be realizing, okay, this is not enough for me. This is not going to work. I know I was in the middle of a connection that I had been in for like 2 to 3 years, just being patient with this gentleman while he worked through some grief, etc. But after a while, it was just like, okay, buddy, it's been long enough. I'm not getting anything from this. So not only do we have to end this, we can just end our connection, period. So that's where I was with that. You may be cutting off friendships. You may be cutting off family members. You may be walking away from your church because, after all, you're realizing I'm not getting emotional fulfillment from these connections. And so this is the stage where you're actually releasing. Remember that's the key term for this phase. Releasing and walking away from anything else that you feel was maybe imbalanced, or it left your power in somebody else's hands, okay? Definitely hermit mode. I thought of inserting a song right here. What's that dude's name? I don't know his name. Yeah, that. Anyway, so I know I began to not want to go to parties. I wasn't trying to be very social. And I wasn't going to parties because, of course, as you begin to heal and things You don't need to numb yourself as much, or you realize certain things are low vibrational for you and you don't like who you are when you are dealing with certain things, you're going to distance yourself from them. So if I know it's going to be a house party and this is what they're doing, they're drinking and doing all of that, I was not in a space where I felt comfortable being around it. I mean, just cold turkey, everything, y'all. Not everything, but most things. Anyway, so I didn't want to go to any parties. I was like, yeah, no news at all. I don't want to watch the news. And my mom had a hard time with that one because she was still like flooding my phone with the latest news gossip. And a lot of the news for me was fear-based. I feel like, I know that the media, their motto is what? If it bleeds, it leads, you know? So they're going to try to create and control based on fear. So that's why they filter out what they report to us. And yeah, I was just done with it. But you start noticing these things because you're learning at this point how these things affect your vibration. That's with the drinking and all that I stopped. Things that were once black and white are not exactly black and white anymore. Ooh, let's talk about this. Loneliness. Where you're like, okay, so I am almost the only one who is awake in my immediate surroundings, right? I'm almost the only one awake. So now you get like lonely because you're cutting yourself off. And you're like, damn, I have no one in this world with all these people and I can't relate to anybody. So you're going to start kind of resisting the pull to be different. Resisting the call to detach from your old life. It's kind of like, why in the hell did I open Pandora's box? Because now you cannot unknow what you know. Like you can't unlearn what you've already learned. And so you're going to be questioning yourself, wondering why the hell did I wake up if it meant that I got to be alone, you know? But fortunately, we got social media and you can attract your tribe and call them in. But I think we're going to talk mostly about that in the next phase. But this feeling does pass. It gets better because this new freedom feels so much better than your old stuck life. Also, something that may occur during this time, your self-worth. It may become a struggle here because the stuff that you used previously to define you, that was your identity, is falling away. So like I was no longer teacher Tiffany. I was no longer homeowner Tiffany. I was just a lot of the things that you used to be interested in, whatever it is that floated your boat previously, just doesn't anymore. So that changes how you identify yourself. So you are going to have struggles where it's like, dang, what defines me? Like I have no purpose, and you're going to go through that, which is why this is where the affirmations really become important. So, and the thing with affirmations is even though you start with them, it doesn't necessarily mean that you believe it. But as you're learning more, you'll realize that it still is helpful to say what you mean, even if you don't feel it yet, because subconsciously that is getting programmed into your mind and it's going to sort of lock in to replace the old. Does that make sense? I hope so. Also, yeah, you got to be careful of getting kind of cocky here, overly confident, like you got it all together, because the universe has a very special way of humbling you while you're learning these life lessons, right? Because I feel like the goal ultimately is to allow you to grow into a place and space of surrendering so deeply to being led by the divine. It's about you dropping your ego. It's like, yeah, it's a long stage, y'all. But it's disheartening because the previous stage was really long too and can really take a while. But I feel like this area here is probably the most important in the process. This stage is going to have a lot of back and forth because you'll be seeing your progress. Then another lesson will pop up because your ego says, oh yeah, I'm good now, I'm woke now. You got new lessons, because remember, during all of this, you're still reprogramming your soundtrack. So you're going to waffle a little bit. And so as you're making changes, like I said, you want to step back. You want your sleep life back because it was just easier to stay stuck. This is the resistance that I was talking about. So that's going to happen a few times, not once, not twice. That's going to happen a few times with a few different things, because I feel like the divine source, God, however you subscribe to a higher power, is really trying to drive this lesson home that it's not about you almost at all. It's about being in the present and trusting that the divine is going to intuitively guide you and allowing you yourself to be happy and at peace right now in this moment. And if you're happy and at peace right now in this moment, there's not a lot of worry about what's going to happen in the future, if that makes sense. Y'all, it gets so deep. It's such a circle. Life is so cyclical. And I'm really, really, really learning that through all of this. Also, let's see. Yeah, the divine is forcing you to drop your ego, which is what had attached you to your identity. And, had you feeling like, okay, people look at me as an upstanding citizen because I was this person and I had this and I was paying my own bills and I was taking care of this and this and this. But yeah, it's going to be hard for you to break away from that, because definitely you're experiencing a huge transformation and a metamorphosis. So you're probably going to realize that your job no longer matches with your higher self, who you want to be on the outside. It doesn't match your heart, so this is why a lot of people end up walking away. But it's a painful, slow ego death, really. It's usually painfully slow, because we are resistant to that change, But stay hopeful, because as you surrender to a higher power, you'll realize how worth it is. Let's see. Y'all, I wrote so much, but I see we already had 22 minutes, OMG. Let me still go ahead. Okay. And I may end up repeating some things because I was just writing. But your personal beliefs are going to be overhauled in this area, in this stage. We'll be realizing or accepting that we have more control or more power to create the life that we want. This is with the affirmations, with the law of attraction. You'll have to adjust to the release and surrender, to being divinely led. I remember I had a conversation with my mom recently. Like, I can't even really tell you what I'm going to do every day, because some days, this is how much I have surrendered at this point, or even though I still have some resistant days too. I was like, I can't even tell you what I'm going to do every day, because I literally wake up and am guided into what I'm supposed to be working on today, if that makes sense. Anyway, so your doubt is going to be replaced with your faith, your belief that anything is possible. You're going to be realizing and truly believing that there is no such thing as impossible, because at this point, remember that you are growing into a stage of surrendering to the divine, who is going to be not even proving himself, herself, however you believe, to you, proving that to you, that how powerful Source is, how powerful as co-creators of our destiny we are. You're going to be surrendering to that, and your understanding of life and why it went how it went is going to be clearer, meaning the things that you've lived through, that you've worked through, you're going to just start understanding why things had to happen the way that they happened, how every experience molded you into being the person that you were and are becoming, either positive or negative, okay? You're going to be forgiving more and more people who have betrayed you or hurt you for whatever, because you're going to realize that they all had a role to play in your destiny, in your life, okay? So at this stage, your soundtrack reprogramming is going to be virtually complete. I feel like I'm kind of actually teetering between this stage and the last stage, because I feel like there may still need to be some emotional releases for me to do, which I'm excited about because I learned today about a higher heart chakra. So yeah, I'm going to get into that and see where that takes me. But for the most part, I feel like I'm kind of here at the ends of it. But the crazy part is, based on what I'm reading, is like when you think you're at the end, you ain't. Oh gosh. So I'm just saying, y'all, prepare for the journey, honey. Once you open the box, there is no going back. But also here, you're going to stop blaming folks for how your life turned out, because again, you realize everything had to play out the way it played out. Your codependent relationships, they had to fall away. Your toxic connections, they had to fall away. One, either they were not for your highest good, or two, the divine just had something better for you. Okay? You're not judging others anymore, because you know we all evolve when we evolve, right? They're going to start to open up to a different thought process when it's time for them to. Okay? You're not trying to prove yourself to people anymore. That kind of develops as time goes on. You're not trying to prove your worth, because you're growing into an understanding of where you know who you are, right? So again, this leads back to knowing, to part of the surrender. Knowing that source is going to send you who and what you need. It's like a complete state of trusting. Trying to trust, because that is something that probably needs to be developed, right? So anyway, you are just knowing who you are, and you value you. You like the you that you're becoming. So you're not in the habit of trying to make others see who you are. Like, you got nothing to prove, because if they don't love you, or if they do, it's irrelevant, because you love you so much at this point, unconditionally, right? So that's the awesome part of this stage. That's the relief, right? Anyway, I'm sure affirmations helped me with that. Affirmations, and then choosing to take care of my body and myself and my spirit, mind, body, and soul. Everything just being so connected and working to become the best of that. You have no choice but to love yourself a lot. Anyway, and then you're going to move out of that stage of loneliness into the stage where you realize we are one. Everything is so connected. And this is going to come from you studying and just learning more. Your desire to fit in or to be normal is going to fade. You're not going to be trying to force a wake up on anybody. You're going to just be. You're going to be focusing on just being. Tiffany. No, not you being me, you being you. But I just said that because that's my name, you know. Anyway. But you focusing on just being, which in turn is going to actually inspire the people around you in some way. And it's going to inspire their awakening as well. So that's good. You definitely become more appreciative of your past journey. Like I said, you may feel called to share your experiences like I am. And it's because of how you feel, the freedom that it gave you. You're going to want other people to feel that. You're going to want to empower other people. I remember listening to something about manifesting or law of attraction or something like that. And I was driving, and y'all, I was just like, wow, I feel like everybody, you know, I don't know if you know it, but I'm from South Dallas. And I was like, I feel like everybody in South Dallas needs to know this. They need to know this and feel this. And I was trying to figure out how could I get the word out. But I digress just a little bit. Anyway, you're going to start to take things less personally, realizing that, okay, how people respond or react is not really about you. It's about them and the things that they've been through in life. You're going to start focusing on doing what feels good to your soul without the finances being the motivation. Your intuition is going to increase at this time. You're going to be in a consistent state of peace. I noticed recently that my road rage has stifled tremendously, okay? Like, this lady almost hit my car the other day. Y'all, I just hit my brake, and she paused, she caught herself, and I kept on going and just kept chit-chatting like doo-doo-doo. Whereas previously, oh baby, she'd have got some cuss words and some rage, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so that's pretty awesome. That lets me know that I'm making strides, I'm developing. She messed up, is what it is. If she had hit me, she'd have been paying for it. If she wouldn't have been paying for it, like she was uninsured or something, then okay, maybe the divine didn't want me to have this vehicle anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, your understanding, your acceptance of things just change. Yeah, I put that in there. I was supposed to tell y'all that little story. And then, yeah, so you may notice you're more easygoing and lighthearted. And it's so funny because even at work, before I quit that job, I had kind of just calmed down. I was trying to be more, not trying to be, I just saw the need to be, so that's who I was, I was less angry, I was less aggressive, I was trying to be more understanding, or starting to be more understanding. Like, one of the students, he had done something, and one of the teachers called me like, Miss Henry, telling me what he done, and I addressed it, I talked to him and sent him on his way. She was like, oh hell no, what is wrong with you? She said, you are going soft. And she made the kid come back, and she got on him instead, I just laughed like, I'm not going soft. I'm just, growing. I'm growing. Trust me, these kids don't need to be fussed at every 10 minutes or so. There's a way to deal with that. Anyway, you'll realize that, even though you're different, you are still who you were. I think that I'm a pretty hilarious person most of the time. A lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot. And I felt like I was losing my sense of humor. I felt like I was losing parts of me that I actually liked previously. But I'm learning as time goes along that I'm not. I'm still me. She's still in there. Her values have changed. Her core expression has changed, but she's still who she was. Her vibration has definitely changed, but she's still who she was. You're going to want a job that aligns with your true self. Maybe a spiritual practice. And this is also kind of crossing the line into the last stage. So when I say this is the ending of the fourth stage, it's the ending of it. So either you're going to maybe want a job that is related to some type of spiritual practice, because you're going to want to share what you've learned. You're going to want to teach it. You're going to want to be a mentor in some way. Or you're just going to make your peace with the job that you do. For example, say you are working for the sanitation department. You're going to realize, even though people look at it like, oh, he's a garbage man or she's a garbage man, you're going to realize that you play a huge role in the functioning of society. You play a huge role. Y'all, I swear, it was some days where I just wanted to hug the sanitation people, just have a treat for them or something, because their job is so important. The people that clean up these lakes every day, their job is so important. So you may just feel like at peace with what you do and not necessarily change your job. You still feel all of your true emotions, but they are not ruling your life. Whereas before, if something upset you or something pissed you off, you might stay mad for the day. Yeah, you're not going to be there anymore once you hit this stage, okay? So I went a little long today. We're at almost 35 minutes, but stage 5 is next. I'm so excited. Can't wait to really dig in. I kind of like to think of it as the manifestation stage. Okay, so that's why I say I'm partially there. I cannot wait to dig in to this part with you guys. I hope you learned something and you got something from today's podcast. If you did or didn't, please feel free to share. On my Facebook group, Ascending with Tip Talks 22, we are open for discussion and growth, It's definitely a group for like-minded souls and individuals. So if you are looking for your tribe, most definitely join us there. But most importantly, let me thank you so much for joining me today. And stay tuned. Make sure your notifications are set. You're subscribed, etc., etc. Follow me on Instagram because I'm dropping gems all the time over there. And it's just going to end up turning into future episodes of podcasts, I'm sure. So, thanks for being here so much. Vibe high. See you guys soon.